Death be not proud.
You smell that in it? That's arrogance returning to the world of the Greeks. This is part 2 in the video series, and what I'm doing in this part 2 is I'm breaking down time it takes me to get to certain phases during the painting process. That includes sub-assembly, that includes aerosols, that includes glues, that also includes washes and everything. I'm not going to time how long it takes for the washes to dry, but what I am timing is like how long it's taking me to maybe go through aerosols, go start on something else, do sub-assembly. And where I'm going with all of this is because when you start a big project, you want to experiment and make sure that you're able to break up the work in effective time segments. So in this segment, I'm going to sub-assemble a bunch of guys. In this segment, I'm going to prime and finish a bunch of guys, or I'm going to clear cut a bunch of guys while I paint guys. And so you want to be having blood in, blood out as far as work is concerned. So I'm just going to go through all the phases, and through doing this, I found that my optimum number is 4. So that's what I'm going to try to shoot for every time I sit down and paint hoplites. I want to get like 4 done in a session on Saturday mornings or something like that, so that I can effectively finish this project ASAP. I'm past the halfway mark, so I've got 40 done. The target number is 2 units. That's 80 guys. So, and then after that, I've still got to paint skirmishers and commanders, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. But I still got to I still have to cut my way through 40 more hoplites before I get there. So, let's go through the steps that I've taken to kind of see what segments work best and everything, and narrow it down, and then we'll finally show you the finished product. So what I have right here are my 2 test figures. This one is painted brown after he was primed black because he's wearing the bronze cuirass. This one over here was dry brushed with Astronomicon gray, which is an old Citadel foundation color, really good color. And it was my theory that I would have to dry brush the torso to get the kind of layers that I wanted with impunity. All right, as you can see, everything's been, that's going to have an earth tone color like flesh and cloth and steel or bronze, has been done up with a dry brush of brown. And these guys in the bronze cuirasses were also dry brushed completely brown. While I was waiting for paint to dry, I would wipe off excess brown on these horses over here to maximize paint and make sure I didn't waste it. And then while I was waiting for aerosols and different things of that nature, I also put the mud on 24 hoplites. This took me 59 minutes total. So the next step is to finish off the torsos for the 2 test figures and then select their arms. As you can see, I've had something break off of the popsicle stick. Just paint it up anyway and make sure that the edge of the arm where you're going to glue it to the torso is clean. So I'm going to select 2 heads for these 2 guys to do up, and I can just go through and piecemeal them together, and then I can paint spears as I need them. So we'll come back after we've done some more work. So here I am, just 30 minutes later. I've done all of my metallics that I'm going to need for this little leg of the project. I've still got my 2 test figures there. I like how I was able to dry brush my colors on. I still have to do some washes. Like he's going to need a light gray wash, so I'm going to probably do that next. And then I'm going to start fabrics while that wash dries, which means I'm going to start my reds. I'll time out how long it takes me to do my reds, and then I'm going to start my leathers again. And then, so reds and leathers are next, and then the shafts of the spears. Then after that, we do flesh and facial hair if we have it. And then we get our washes ready. I mean, these bronze ones, they're on a stick together. They're going to paint up really quickly. I don't have enough guys in bronze armor, so that's why he's over there by himself. And but being able to do the bronze variant with the brown dry brush, highly recommend that. Being able to do the white dry brush variant, I'm not sure yet, so I have to continue with this experiment. And as paint dries, I can get to bases. As you can see there, I've taken out 2 spears, gotten them ready, because I don't know if I want them to have spears or swords yet, but I have the option of for every arm. It depends on this guy. His weapon's going to depend on one arm that I don't that has sleeves, so he'll probably end up with the spear because he doesn't have a sleeve on this side, whereas this guy I can go either or. And that's oh, we also did the shields up that we're going to need for this group. There's 24 guys sitting over there. The sand is almost dry. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint that scorched brown, and we're going to get the, what do you call it, the highlights on the sand, and then they're going to go into the, they're going to go in and get the individuals. The good thing about that is I can use the super glue to put the grass on, and then we're going to use glue on the ones that are 4 to a base. And that's 24 of those guys. So if I have any excess paint, I've been wiping it onto my English Knights here, so that's the side project and the wings. So here we are about another 45 minutes in. The thing that I'm losing the time on are these 4 guys right here. They were already glued to the stick, and that's kind of where my time is going. But as far as the components are going, they're going along very quick. I've used a mixture of Bugman's Glow and Rosy Shadow for the flesh tones. On some of these guys, they got Xandri Dust for the hair. For the one in the white linen cuirass, there's a method that I use. It's ink. It's a Formula P3 ink mixed with either Evil Sun's Layer or Mephiston Red. It really helps your freehand game a lot, and I want my shoulder pads to be very accentuated and everything, and have that red little have those red lines on the ends of the shoulder pads. And I haven't highlighted this yet, so that took a little bit of time there. But again, I've done over 20 of them, so I'm getting it down to a science. I have a feeling by the time I get to number 80 of this style or something, it won't take me very long to get these guys whipped out at all, because I'll already know what to expect. But the shoulder pads, the brims of the shoulder pads where the red is, it's done with the ink and a combination of. I usually use the Evil Suns if it doesn't accentuate. These guys are going to look a little different because they were painted as one piece, whereas the component ones I think are going to be a lot brighter with their colors, which is what I was going for. I've also taken the liberty to do the horsehair crest on the Corinthian style helmets, and that's just done with black and black ink mixed together. It will allow you to sweep down one side, sweep down the top, and then sweep down the other side of that. And then some of them also have that for the back ends wherever the hair is shown, like on this head right here. What that does when you mix black with the black ink is it allows your friend Codex Gray to highlight it just a little better. You'll see a lot more of the highlights. Like from here, you can already see some of the gray on the crest just without really having to get in too close. So especially over there. So if I go over there just a little bit, you can see the gray on the horsehair crest just a little bit better. But the next phase that I'm going to have is leather, and I'm trying to get this process down to be about 21 colors. I have it right now, as it stands, this project's standing at 24 colors. 25 if I want to include my mud, but I have to do things to the basing, which will be a different video entirely. So about the only thing left is that I've got to do washes and leather. And with the shields already being done and everything, these guys can start to come together pretty quickly. I have 6 torsos upstairs that are ready to go, and these are mostly their components and everything. I've done the arm that fell off there, and with the components being done, all I have to do is finish torsos, which means I have less time at my painting table. So that's how I'm going to do a lot of the hoplites. I'm going to do the component building portion during the week. Then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to probably be able to whip an average of 8 every Saturday morning, which is fine by me. My goal is to have somewhere around the neighborhood of 60 hoplites by Thanksgiving. So with me sitting here at almost, with this chunk right here, when these guys are done, that'll be 30. And that's perfect. That's exactly the halfway mark of where I want to be. So when I get the other 6 upstairs done, that makes 36. And then I just got to paint 4 more and I'm beyond the halfway mark. So, but I do need a division of 80 guys, 2 units of hoplites. So that's about where it's at now. Let's do the leather portion and the washes. I'm not going to time how long it takes for me to do the washes. I'm just going to time how long it takes for me to do the leather and any touch-up. So that'll be Retributor, Snakebite leather, a combination of maybe Gothor brown and leather brown, which is the Vallejo color right here. This one is really good, really thick, a lot of pigment, no complaints here, and you can highlight it with the Gothor pretty good, or the Snakebite. Or if I'm just going to fast track everything, everyone's getting the leather brown, the Snakebite brown. That's what I'll use on my sandals and the strap that's holding on the dagger there. Again, I got very aggressive with the gold, but there's still parts that I've missed. So that was all of the flesh, all of the reds, all of the blacks, and facial hair and hair hanging out of the helmet if needed. So 31 minutes and 34 seconds later, I'm done with all the touch-up and the leather. For the spears, it's just highlighted with desert yellow mixed with a little bit of Xandri dust, base coat of Xandri dust. After I do a strong tone ink wash on the ones that are in the bronze armor, I'm going to apply a soft tone to the one who's got the linen cuirass right here. Again, watch out for the spears. This one broke, but it broke in such a way that I was able to glue it back on. It's straight, and then I took some glue and I went down the cracks, so I don't think it'll be going anywhere anytime soon. This one ended up with a lance from the Perry kit that was cut off at the hand, which is a way better spear than anything else I can think of. If you have to have somebody fisting a spear and they have open palms, it just goes in really easily. So the washes have to go on. I'm not going to wash anything component wise until I see what the rest of the miniature looks like, so I can kind of color match. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but the whole point of having the components ready is so that they're ready when the torsos are ready. So that one is probably going to get the soft tone wash, and then I'm just going to highlight the white as I need it. And then he'll be a little bit brighter, a little more colorful. The shield will get the soft tone, and that's kind of the look I was going for. I'm okay with those, but this is the component way for the Lenin Kuros Hoplites is definitely the way to go. And and I can't really wait to get into some of the Warlord ones, but that's just how I did it today. So just real quick, I did take the extra time to do the soft tone wash. Let's see, did I get that? This color right here on the white for the Kuros, and it did blend the color in just a little bit. And so all I'm going to have to do now is take a very, very light gray. This will probably be Urathon gray mixed with a little bit of ceramite. That's as close to this. I discovered that this is still very lighter, the mixture here, but I can't remember. I've just always took care of this one cup, this one pot, and it's still halfway full. I've had it for years. So this either Urathon gray mixed with ceramite just on the highlight phase, and they'll look a little bit more like this guy over here and everything. See how white that is, and let's go. You can see how white that is and everything, and that'll pretty much tie them all together. But yeah, I think I'm going to component paint them, which really saves me a hell of a lot of time. I'll probably have just over the 30 done by tomorrow with all the bases that are with all of these ones over here. From this guy over here, all of the basing will be done and everything. I'm just waiting for washes to dry and everything like that. Gonna do my Codex Gray. Gonna get these guys glued to their bases, and then that'll be it. I'll have my first unit of 40, and we're just gonna do one more little video with the components going on to the torsos after the torsos have been painted up. So here I am. This is 2 hours, 20 minutes for 6 torsos that are completely done. After the wash is dry, the only thing I have to do is glue components onto these guys, which is arms, spears, shields. As you can see, the shields have been washed and everything. And then I just have to piece them together and do, and then put them on their bases. So that'll probably be another 25 minutes worth of work. I have to time myself on that, but yeah, 2 hours, 20 minutes for 6. So what I've learned is that's probably, we're just going to round it up to 3 hours. So that's 2, 4, 6, 2 an hour. So I think my optimum work number that I'm looking for is probably 4 for 2 hours on a sub-assemble, and doing them sub-assembled. And that's probably where I want to be, whereas I can be 6 for 3 hours if they're wearing the bronze cuirass. And that's where. So here I am, 1 hour and 5 minutes and 34 seconds into the optimized number. This is also the last 4 of the 40 hoplites out there. I've been, as you can see, these guys have been 100% base. They only need their clear coat. Elite hoplites, I've determined in my armies are going to be the only ones who have decals, and I think that'll save me a lot more time. Just like so, if the Spartans, they're an elite unit, the only ones who are going to have the Spartan L for Laconia are going to be the Spartans themselves. So I've done all the washes, I've done all the gold. The only thing that's left is to highlight with my combination of whites as I see fit. I still really prefer my mixture as opposed to the Urathon Gray, but Urathon Gray is a good color because it will stick to the surface after I've washed it with the strong tone, and from 3 feet away it will still appear white. Now on some of the shoulder pads I have to mix either the Urathon with the ceramite, or I just use this all the way around. But I do like it to pop. As you can see there, I get it really white color and everything. The components have been painted. I just have to assemble and then do the final highlights for the white. And that is basically it. And maybe do a few more highlights on leather. But the models themselves are basically done. I've got my 3 spears sitting right there. Then I have to wash them. But while that wash dries, I can put them on their base, let them dry to their base, and then I can put my Russian thick mud on there. And then once that dries, I highlight the mud with tanned earth, and I go Codex Gray, then tanned earth, and then I put the grass on, and they'll look like that there. And so the total paint time for 4 of them I think is going to be around 1 hour and 25 minutes, hour 35 minutes, which is roughly the same time as a movie, which is what I want. Is a project that doesn't take me more than an hour. I mean, let's say with wash times, that doesn't take me more than 2 hours to complete. And so by the time I complete and I'm done drying and all the basin and all the grass is done, everything's done, that's 2 hours. And in between the times where I'm waiting for shit to dry, I'm doing either movement trays or getting the next batch ready to be painted. So that's where I'm at, and then we'll come up as soon as these guys are done and put together, and then once they have grass on them, we'll take a look at the unit on a table. So here I am at the end of the project. That's precisely about 2 hours and 2 minutes and some change. That took me to get to this step with 4 guys. That's roughly 1 hour a guy. That's where I want to be. I want to sit down for a 2-hour paint session and be able to crank out the guys to complete. I have to wait for the mud, the thick Russian mud on the base, to dry. And then after it dries, I'm going to paint it scorch brown, highlight it with gray, highlight it with earth, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of glue, and that's how I'm going to get the grass on the base, just like in the hoplite scene there. I'm also, while I wait for this, I'm going to do the strong tone on the spears, and that'll be about it. But other than that, this is done, and that's 2 hours for 4, and that's about where I want to be if they're wearing the linen cuirass. Whereas I'm about 1 hour and 10 minutes, most likely, for just 2 guys in the bronze armor. And That's kind of where I want to be, because I want to have a sit down where I just produce the miniatures and then I get them to this point. Basing is something else entirely. I'll base them as I go. Like, I'll get a huge group together and then I'll base them, and that's how that'll work out. And that's kind of how I organize my time. But right now I'm out of hoplites. So while I'm waiting for the paint to dry, I went and prepped the next 5. This was literally only about 20 minutes worth of work. These two are fully constructed. As you can see, they are wearing the bronze style cuirass, so they'll paint up relatively quickly. I won't have to worry about them, and that's just that's a good little sit down session to have. Is the whole key thing is to keep breaking up work into little segments that go to the bigger picture, and that's the big key factor there. So here I am at the last phase while I wait for that one brick of 4 guys that's very similar to what these guys are going to look like to dry. I used the Tester's Dull Coat to finish this off, and of course I'm outside to do that, but when I'm done I will bring it in because the warmth will help it dry. This isn't all of them, there's like 9 more left on the bench, plus the brick of 4 upstairs. And then you just got to kind of keep the work moving. So when you finish painting, you got to keep doing work in segments, and that's how you get to a number very quickly. So here we are with the hoplites. These guys are pretty imposing when they're in a unit of 40 like this. This isn't their movement tray. I still have to buy several movement trays for this soon-to-be army that I'm doing. But this is the first unit in the division. There will be one more that looks kind of like this, but they're going to be Warlords Games hoplites. And that's where I'm going to get the other 40 from, because they come in a box of 40. But I still have 5 upstairs that I can paint, so I can get a head start on the next unit, which really helps me out because I would much rather have a head start. And these guys are just really imposing when they're in a unit like this. Very, very classically classical Greek at its best here. I think Xenophon described his army, the Mercenary Hoplites themselves, as a wall of scarlet and bronze. So I adopted red because all of the Peloponnesians, Corinth and Sparta, they're all going to wear the red and everything. So I think that's a good choice there. I'm opting out of details for this division, decals for this division, simply because I don't want to. What do you call it? I don't want to give them too much flavor. I think anything that's described as an elite hoplite, they'll get the decals, and that'll be the way I can tell. Because, again, when you do historicals and everything, it's like painting night goblins. Every single guy is the same. Every guy has the same equipment most of the time in historical armies, unless they're like English longbowmen. Then they'll be all mixed with they'll have a mix of weapons and equipment that they'll be using and everything. But everybody roughly looks the same. I mean, I've got you can see the ones right here with the what do you call it? The caps. Let's see. You've got the Corinthian style helmet right here from Wargames Factory. Wargames Factory Head, Wargames Factory Head, Wargames Factory Head, Wargames Factory Head. They look a lot taller, a lot more proud. Of course, they did away with this helmet. Let's get one of these guys out real quick. Here's a single that you can look at. They did away with this helmet relatively quickly because it didn't have ear slots, and they wanted something and they went to a model that was a little bit more opened, as you can see there on the box. So that the guy could hear and see better. But there's something very romantic, in my opinion, about the early Corinthian helmet that was more closed. And this is what the unit looks like. 40 hoplites, linen cuirasses straight up. There's going to be another 40 very soon. Hopefully that box gets here and I can start on it this week and cut my way up to 60 hoplites. But that's basically it. That's what the finished product looks like, and I couldn't be happier with it. One of the things I am a little worried about, sketchy about, is the circular bit there. I've done my best to cover that up on most of the models, but on some of them, it's still a little bit more prevalent, but that's okay. I can live with that.